Perfect. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Welcome to day 3 of National Apprenticeship Week. Today, we are joined by TLT, who are going to be talking all things law and law opportunities and apprenticeships. So just a couple bits from me first. My name is Marnie. I'm from Success at School, and I will be your host this evening. Please keep an eye out in your inboxes for an email tomorrow morning, which will contain a link to this panel. It will be uploaded to YouTube, so you can watch it back as many times as you like. There will also be a certificate in there if you stay till the end, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. Post it on your LinkedIn and tag all of us. There is also a Q&A, so if you've got any questions throughout, feel free to just pop them in the Q&A box, and then we will answer as many as possible towards the end. Anyway, I'm going to pass over to Rebecca now. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Marnie. Hi, everyone. My name is Becca. I am a careers advisor working here at TLT. I'm really excited to be joining you all this evening. Thank you so much for giving up your evenings during National Apprenticeship Week. I really appreciate it. So hopefully you can all see my screen. We'll just go through a quick agenda of what to expect throughout this next hour. So between 6:30 and 7:20, I'll do a bit of a welcome and an introduction to TLT. Between 6:40 to 6:50, we'll do an introduction to legal solicitor apprenticeships and the route and what that looks like. We'll do a little bit of a masterclass after that, and that'll last about 20 minutes. I'll be covering things like general application tips, assessment centre tips, a little bit on commercial awareness and what that is, and sort of resilience. And then we've got 2 of our lovely apprentices joining us this evening. We've got Jess and Callum, and we will do a little bit of a panel and get to know those 2 and hear about their journey so far. So to start off with, I just thought this is a really great page just to summarise who we are, what we do, and basically a really high level indication of a key sort of points of TLT. So we are one of the fastest growing law firms in the UK. We were actually awarded Law Firm of the Year at Legal Business Awards in 2023, marking the 3rd year in a row that we had taken away that accolade in the industry awards. We'd also been previously named Law Firm of the Year at the Law Awards in 2021 and the British Legal Awards in 2022. We see ourselves as business advisors as well as lawyers, using our experience and legal expertise to help clients. And equality, diversity, inclusivity and wellbeing is at the core of our strategy. So events like today are really important to us as a firm and our clients, and we're really keen on promoting social mobility and ensuring that there are so many opportunities and routes into the legal profession. So just to have a quick look at some of these figures. So our turnover was 187 million, which is a very big number. So yeah, that kind of backs up that we're one of the fastest growing law firms in the UK. We have around 1,800 employees and counting. That's probably a little bit more than from when it was printed, but you get the general gist. We are an award-winning firm, as I just mentioned, and yeah, equality, diversity, inclusivity and wellbeing is at the core of our strategy. We're also really big at building a sustainable business. So we see it as our responsibility to inspire positive and sustainable transformation within our business, working with and learning from our people, our clients, and also our wider network. And we are also a culture that prioritises our people. So we are very people first. We're kind of excelling by continuing to evolve, and we're committed to developing our people to allow those changing needs of our clients. Got a bit of a map here of the UK, just so you can see where we are primarily based. So we have offices up and down the country in Edinburgh, Glasgow, Belfast, Manchester, Birmingham, London and Bristol. The apprenticeship opportunities are based in 4 of those offices, Manchester, Birmingham, London and Bristol, and we recruit to Birmingham on an every alternate year basis. So this year it's just London, Manchester and Bristol, but we'll go into a little bit more detail about the apprenticeship route and a bit more information about that later down the line. I just thought it'd be good to talk a little bit about our values. Spoiler alert, if you are in the process of applying or are interested in applying, one of the questions on the application form actually does involve talking about our values. So I just thought I'd go through them quickly one by one, just so you can get an idea of who we are, what we do, and these are values that we live, breathe every day here at TLT. So the top one I've got up here is go beyond expectation. This is basically allowing us to strive to do better by actively listening and challenging, no preconceptions, no assumptions, and understanding that every need is different, being flexible and working in the most effective way, and being ambitious using our professional expertise and industry knowledge to create commercial opportunities. We've got challenge convention here with a little light bulb. So that's always defining faster, better, and more innovative ways to unlock opportunity, delivering the highest quality and not accepting following or things have been done before, and thinking beyond legal to find the right commercial solution. We've got working side by side, supporting colleagues in their work, both in development and wellbeing, caring for our clients, organisations as if they were our own, and building enduring relationships by shaping ourselves around each individual challenge. We've got be open and inclusive, so encouraging everyone to be their whole self at work and to have a voice and to contribute, enable diverse and creative thinking, to solve problems and find opportunities, and being proactive and responsible for creating an inclusive and diverse environment. And last but not least, we've got to drive sustainable action. So acting with responsibility and always in the long-term interest of our clients, our colleagues and the firm, inspiring, encouraging actions that deliver positive economic, environmental and social outcomes, and championing sustainable business and thinking sustainability in all that we do. So yeah, really important slide, and you can find a little bit more about our values on our website. We've also got, I thought it'd be good to highlight our sectors, just in case you're interested in the types of work that we do. So our clients require advice on maybe a single area of law or support over every aspect of their organisation. We'll work with them side by side to look at their long-term interests using our expertise and knowledge to find the right solution and create commercial opportunity. So we've got a few here. We've got financial services, we've got leisure, food and drink, public sector, real estate, retail and consumer goods, future energy and digital. And I think the beauty of this is that we collaborate across a lot of these areas, and we're able to support across many different expertise and levels. We work with quite a lot of key clients and companies, many sort of household names, household banks, lots of sort of retail and high street stores. Again, you can find out maybe a little bit on our website about any recent work that we've done. We're always posting, big wins, things like that on there. So I'd encourage you to go and check that out. So that was a little bit about us, very much a whistle-stop tour, but I'm conscious we've got a lot to get through this evening. So I thought let's just move on to apprenticeships in general. So I thought I'd introduce everyone in our team. Obviously, it's just me this evening, but I am one of 6. So we are led by Kate, who is our senior manager. She has got over 20 years of experience and has worked for many law firms in her career. We've got Kerry, who is the early careers manager on the apprenticeship side. We've got Elle, who is the early careers manager on the trainee solicitor side. We've got myself supporting Kerry primarily on the apprenticeship team. We've got Ifat, who is our early careers advisor on the graduate side. And then we've also got Amanda, who is our coordinator. I've popped our emails on there, so feel free to reach out if you have any sort of specific questions. But we also have a centralised early careers inbox, which is earlycareers@tlt.com, and that is manned on a regular basis. So any general queries, I would probably opt for that first, but if it's specific to apprentices or trainees, you know who to contact otherwise. So what is an apprenticeship? Because most of you might know already, but I just thought it'd be good to share a bit of an insight. And I think this clog wheel sort of image is a really great way of explaining how all of these things work in tandem. So an apprenticeship provides an opportunity to work and study at the same time. Most of your time is spent by doing on-the-job training, and the rest is spent working towards a qualification. You'll get paid a salary and be part of the team, just like all of the other employees, but you'll also get a dedicated study day, and they are often fully funded programs leading to qualification. Why study an apprenticeship? So you might be thinking, well, I'm not sure whether I want to do an apprenticeship or whether I should go to university. I've just summarised here a few key points that you might not know or might not be aware of. But apprenticeships allow you to upskill alongside your work. They're open to everyone at any level. Sorry. You can get paid while you earn. You can apply what you learn in your job. You have that dedicated study time, and you're also receiving a recognised qualification. In our case, this is a law degree. You are taught by industry experienced tutors, your dedicated coach to guide you through each stage of your journey and provide you with clear aims and objectives as you go. A lot of it is done virtually and online, so it is a learning environment with all your qualification content ready to go at your fingertips. And you have all the support from us in the firm, but also with our provider BPP, just to make sure that you are getting the most out of your apprenticeship and you're being successful. So what does that look like in terms of TLT? So our apprenticeship is the equivalent of the level 7 legal solicitor apprenticeship, and that is a degree apprenticeship. So that means you get a degree at the end of the 6-year programme. And we've broken it down into 3 kind of separate chunks. So we start off with the foundation stage, and that's where you join us when you first come out of school or college. And you would come in at a junior paralegal level, undertaking 2 12-month rotations in different teams. Academic study at this point mirrors the early years of a traditional law degree, and work will vary from team to team, but includes legal administrative tasks, research tasks, and also early exposure to client matters. After those first 2 years are up, you move on to what we call the developmental stage. And this is where you continue with 2 further 12-month seat rotations. That's 2 further seats in different areas of the business, taking on more complex legal work. Studying covers further areas of law, such as criminal, land law, company and trust law, alongside coaching and professional practice skills. And you get that ongoing supervision and mentoring to help you as an apprentice refine those legal skills. The third and final stage is trainee solicitor stage. So at this point, you'd probably catch up with the trainee solicitors. So those are students who've come straight from university and are working the final 2 years before they qualify. So you would join them at that level, you get paid at the exact same level as them, and you would complete 4 6-month seat rotations. And that's just so you can get a really good breadth of knowledge just before you end up qualifying and deciding where you want to go into and specialise in. So during this time, you'll prepare for and undertake the solicitor's qualifying exams, and that is often known as the SQE, and work becomes increasingly aligned with that of a newly qualified solicitor. And we'll support you all along that journey up until qualification, and obviously, hopefully, that you would stick with us and qualify with us in a newly qualified role, and that would all be facilitated by us in the early careers team. And we would obviously explain to you what jobs are available at the end of that 6 years. We have quite a high retention rate, which we're really proud of, and a lot of trainees are kind of tending to stick with us. But we also accept that, sometimes people want to try different areas, and that's okay. You're not tied in at that point. You are free to go if you want to, but obviously we would love you to stay. This is a bit more of an indication of the types of areas of law that you'll be studying throughout your course with BPP. So I thought it'd be really good just to show you the different levels and different types of law. So yeah, stage 1, which is year 1 and 2. So that's the public law, the contract law, tort law, criminal law and land law. And as I mentioned, you would do 2 12-month seat rotations, working at an office assistant level to junior paralegal level. Jess, one of our apprentices, who you'll be hearing from later, is currently in her first year. So she'll be able to give you a really good insight of how she's getting on so far. We've got stages 2, which is year 3 and 4. So we've got trust law, public law, consolidating underlying law, property law and practice, wills and admin of estates, business law and practice. So it gives you a bit of a flavour of the types of things you'll be studying. And then you, like I mentioned in the previous slide, you'd be doing 2 further seat rotations, working at that paralegal level. Callum is in this kind of stage as well, so you can get a really good idea of how he's found life so far, and obviously he'll be moving on shortly to do his SQE. And then finally, we've got years 5 and 6, which is stage 3. So you'd be covering things like dispute resolution, criminal law and practice, working at that trainee level, doing 4 6-month shorter rotations aligned with the trainee journey, completing your endpoint assessment, which all apprenticeships have, and doing those solicitors qualifying exams ready for you qualifying onto the role of solicitors at the end of it. What salary benefits can you expect as a solicitor apprentice? So if you didn't know, we pay for all of your courses and your funding. You get a full paid salary from day one, but you also get access to all of our benefits and things like pension, gym membership, health benefits. We've got an employee assistance program. There's recognition programs, there's flexible working opportunities, there's a whole wealth of different benefits that come with working at a law firm. And I think it's really important to stress this, that you're not getting any debt, you're earning from day one, you're getting all that experience, and you're getting a degree at the end of it. Although, yeah, it is a six-year program, and it might sound like a long time. That 6 years will fly by, and at the end of it, you'll have so much experience. But you'll also sort of be working and earning that salary, having salary increases year on year. We do review salaries every November in line with current market rates, and we're always reviewing those as well as we go along. But I just wanted to show this to you because I think people forget about the different benefits that also come along with working. And yeah, I think obviously the pension and the financial protection, things like that are really important to stress. You're probably thinking, okay, well now, Becca, how do I apply? So applications are currently open. They're closing on the 23rd of February, which isn't that long away. I think we've got just over 2 weeks left. So if you're currently in year 13, I would really recommend you putting that application in if you're interested. We're going to go into a few application tips and assessment centre tips shortly, but the first sort of part of the application process is completing a little bit of a form about yourself. So your name, what office location you'd like to be based at, what grades you currently have, and just for reference, we require ABB, which is the equivalent of 128 UCAS points. We do take into consideration mitigating circumstances, and there is an option on the application form to tell us about this. And if you wanted to talk to a member of the early careers team about your mitigating circumstances, we'd be more than happy to have those conversations. So please don't worry if you do have sort of mitigating circumstances. This is definitely okay, and we can have conversations about that on a case-by-case basis. But yeah, as I mentioned, that application form consists of fact-finding exercise about you, getting those basic information across, and also answering 5 questions. One of them, as I mentioned, is about the values. There'll be a little bit of a question in there about why you want to do an apprenticeship route over the university. There'll be a competency style question in there, and there'll also be a question in there related to commercial awareness and what you know about the current legal industry. And I would obviously going to go into the tips later on, but yeah, I would really take time on that application form, because that is the first thing we see when we get through, and we do read every application, which is surprising. But this is where we first get to know you, we first find out about you, and I can tell a lot from an application from when it first comes in. So yeah, really stressing about making the most of that application to the best of your ability. If you are successful, we would let you know, and we would invite you to a video call, and that will be taking place in March, and that will be with a member of the early careers team, and it is an extension from that application form, just to check that we are the right fit for you, and vice versa. Allows you to get to know us a little bit more, and there'll be 3 further questions for you to answer, but it'll be like just a conversation, just for us to sort of get a bit more information about you. Once we've done all those video calls, we'll then look to shortlist and invite people in for an assessment centre, and that is done end of March and into April, which is the Easter holidays. I think Easter is quite early this year, so it'll be end of March, early April, and that will be a half-day in-person session. We'll invite you into the chosen office of your choice. You'll get to see where you might be working. You'll get a chance to meet some of the apprentices already in the firm, and also us as an early careers team in person. That assessment centre consists of a strength-based interview, a group exercise and a day in the life task, and these are all looking at skills and competencies that we would look for in a solicitor apprentice. And then once the assessment centres are all done, we'd look to make offers by May, and everybody gets a personalised feedback call from us, and we would look to make offers, and you would start in the following September, which is later on in the year. I've put a little bit of a QR code here on the screen. This takes you directly to the application page where you can apply. I will be showing this later on, so don't worry if you've not had a chance to scan it just yet. It will be on the screen a little bit later as well. Okay, so that's a bit about TLT, a little bit about the solicitor apprenticeship route and the application process, but now I thought it'd be good to cover a bit about application tips and assessment centre tips and commercial awareness, and what even is commercial awareness, and resilience, and all of these things, that are words that you hear thrown around all the time. I thought it'd be really good to just go through these and give you a little bit of an insight from an early careers professional who has been through many recruitment cycles before. So these are my top tips. So as I mentioned before, the application form is the first time that we will hear anything from you, and I would really ensure that you use that word count. Most of our application questions have a word count of around 250 words. And I would really strongly encourage you to use as much of this as possible. I really like to see a full chunky answer. I don't like to see one-liners, because I'm not really getting much from you. We need to know that you've answered the question, and you've really put that effort in. So in-depth answers with a lot of detail are my favourite. Make sure that you're researching TLT thoroughly before applying. So I've mentioned a few key points at the start of this presentation, but a lot of the information that you'll need is actually on our website, and it's a really good resource of places to go and to look at and to research. There's so much on there, so I would definitely have a look before you start applying. We want to make sure that we are the right law firm for you, so please do take that time to research us thoroughly before writing that initial application. Take your time. So as I mentioned, I know we are kind of nearing towards the end of the recruitment application timeline in terms of applications closing, but we don't actually recruit on a rolling basis. So this means that there is no advantage for you applying early. So don't rush to submit. Don't think, oh, I've got to do it exactly now after this webinar. Make sure you allow yourself time to check those answers for spelling, grammar, and this can really affect your application score as well. So just get someone to have a look, have a read through, get someone to check, whether that be a teacher, a parent, a guardian, a friend, a mentor, whoever you kind of trust with that. Yeah, make sure you're proofreading that application. And then I thought it would be good to talk a little bit about AI. So artificial intelligence is quite a hot topic at the moment, and we are seeing a lot of candidates starting to use AI tools to help draft and structure some of their answers. This is absolutely fine. We've not got a ban on AI here at TLT. We actually use it in our day-to-day work, and we have a whole future law team dedicated to AI at the moment. But what I would say is use it as a tool. Don't use it as a replacement. Really make sure that your own perspective remains at front and centre of your answers. I'm seeing a lot of people actually typing our values into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is actually bringing up the wrong values, and it's not correct, and that's because it's just summarising all of the information that is pulling together from the internet, but it's not actually pulling the right values through. So unfortunately, if you were to sort of use that as an example and it doesn't match the value, I would have to reject that application because it isn't actually a TLT value. So just be really careful with what you're taking from AI tools like ChatGPT. They're absolutely fine to help gather ideas, but I really wouldn't rely on it to use it as your final answer. Really make sure that you're always rewriting anything used from AI and in your own words to reflect your own personality, and make sure that you're able to explain everything that you've written. If you can't justify, discuss it in detail when it comes to interview stage later down the line, it's really not suitable to include. So yeah, really make sure that you're just using it as a tool and not as an actual replacement for the work that you actually want to put into the application. Top tips for assessment centres. So when you hopefully you'll get through to assess an assessment centre, I would really recommend ensuring that you're tailoring each of your answers. Each answer to the questions that we ask you should be unique and written from scratch, and each firm will have its own unique identity of what you need to be able to tailor your answers towards. Don't have tunnel vision. So obviously, as I mentioned prior, TLT is a full service commercial law firm. So whilst you may have seen a few of our other key practice areas online, really focus on the firm as a whole when doing your research, and this will prevent every example relating back to the same area of the business. And commercial awareness, and we'll cover a little bit more about commercial awareness on the next slide, but this is quite key. We're really looking to see about how you can demonstrate what you know about what is going on in the legal and business world. We're not expecting you to understand every single legal concept. We totally understand that you're just at the start of your legal careers, and that is, something that you've probably never done before, never actually been to an assessment centre before. But it's really good to have a thorough understanding of how changes in the macroeconomic environment impact law firms, clients, and also the role of a solicitor. So commercial awareness tips. So what is commercial awareness? How would you kind of keep up to date with that? And that is, as mentioned on the previous slide, it's looking at how things in the macroeconomic environment affect the legal industry. So staying up to date with the news and current affairs, even it might sound a little bit boring, but reading a little bit of business news each day, so maybe from the Financial Times or BBC Business, and focusing on those headlines that may affect different industries or markets. Make use of podcasts. This is really easy to fit into your day whilst on the go. And I've written a few here that I would recommend. So things like Financial Times news briefing, really great for getting information on main news stories that are happening around the world. Law in Action is great as it covers a wide range of different legal topics. And The Intelligence, this is the Economists, I can't talk, the Economics podcast, which covers UK related business, politics and markets, providing some great analysis. Start a news journal, so maybe track a few stories each week, reflect on what happened, why it matters, and how law firms might be able to support the business involved. So when you do get those key commercial awareness questions in the interview or in the video interview, you have some stories to refer to and reflect on, and you're already a few steps ahead of the game then. And then even just discuss what you're learning. So whether this is with peers, with mentors, or even at networking events as you kind of build your confidence, speaking about issues will help build that and, help develop that own perspective. Resilience. So, I know I've talked about apprenticeships and how great they are, but they are obviously really highly competitive. If it happens that, you don't get through a certain stage, it might just mean that no isn't a no forever, but just a not right now. I've had apprentices that are with us now that have been rejected a couple of times in the recruitment cycle, and they've gone away, they've taken on board the feedback that we've discussed with them, they've applied that, and they've come back and put themselves up, and they've absolutely smashed it the next round. And sometimes, it might just be refiguring the language of the rejection in your mind from being this means I'm not good enough to maybe I need to look at my experience of interviews and the apprenticeship application process. So maybe understand what skills and experience I need to gain to change the not right now to a yes. It can be tough, and it is highly competitive. But it is almost sort of taking that feedback on board and seeing how you can apply it. I've had apprentices that have gone away and even taken gap years, gained a bit more sort of experience, whether that be as a part-time job or volunteering experiences. And then they've got a few more examples that they can then apply and to sort of the application process and the interview process next time. And that has really helped strengthen their answers a little bit more. And just finally, believe in yourself. I think that's really important. I think we will probably be able to share the links with you, but there's a link here which is from the Law Society, and it talks about how to be resilient when applying for training contracts and solicitor apprenticeships. So hopefully Marnie can send these around, or we can attach the link and you can have a bit of a read, because that's a really great resource to have a look at. And through when it's challenging through the application process. So a summary of top tips. So I've just sort of summarised it into the application form and assessment centre. So really explore which TLT value resonates with you and why. definitely look on our website and not ChatGPT for this, as mentioned before. Express why you want to complete an apprenticeship and why this route over others. Why do you want to work for TLT? What are your goals? What skills does a solicitor apprentice need, and how have you demonstrated and progressed these? So reflections, learnings, or feedbacks. We kind of look for problem solving, communication skills, team working, analytical skills, all of these things that you can apply and that you're probably already doing at school or college. You'll be asked about a challenge and what you learned from it and how you've grown from it. So really start to think of examples of times where you've had a challenging situation arise and really look to see how you can apply that. Make sure you're proofreading your application and ensuring that you're getting someone to read over your answers. Again, this is really important. I've seen many applications come in where it's the incorrect law firm that's referred to in the application. So just make sure that when you are applying to obviously so many different firms, that you are tailoring that and you're making sure it is specific to that firm and you've not left in another firm's name by mistake. In terms of the assessment centre, just to summarise, we're really interested in what you did, how you did it and the outcome. Really be concise with those answers. I don't know if you have heard or come across it before, but utilise that STAR method. So situation, talk about the situation at hand, the task that was involved with that, the action that you took, and then the result, and reflecting on that. And that should give you a really good, clear, concise structure when answering interview questions, ensuring that you're covering the whole question. Make sure you have a bank of examples ready to use. So as I mentioned before, anything from school or part-time roles. You don't have to have legal experience. That is not a requirement. You don't have to even have studied law at A-level. We're just really looking to see what transferable skills you have and what you can bring to the table. Stay up to date with commercial news and how this might impact TLT, our clients, through the various ways that I mentioned on the commercial awareness slide. So on our website, our LinkedIn, news, podcasts. Practice, even if it's just talking in front of the mirror, that sometimes helps build confidence. And, just be yourself as well. We really can see what you can bring to the table. That was a very whistle-stop tour of the assessment stage and the application stage. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you learned a little bit about TLT. I hope you learned a little bit about the apprenticeship route in general. But now I think we will probably move on to hearing from the apprentices themselves. So I can see Jess and Callum, hopefully you're around. I think it would be really good if both of you could start off by just introducing yourself really quickly, saying where you're based, what area of the business you're currently in, and what year of the apprenticeship you are currently in, if that's okay. So Jess, ladies first, do you want to go?
Hi everyone, I'm Jess. I'm in my first year and I'm in the lender sales team based in the Bristol office.
Thank you, Jess. And Callum?
Hi everyone, my name's Callum. I'm a fourth year apprentice and currently in our firm's corporate future energy team.
Amazing. And what other seats have you done, Callum, just for everyone else's benefit?
What have I not done? Financial services, construction, and restructuring and insolvency.
Amazing. So real good broad knowledge there. I think before we start to go to the questions, and I'll get Marnie to help me with answering and putting those through, I thought it would be good if I asked you guys a question first. So why did you both pick the apprenticeship route over university? Like, what was it that sold it to you? Why did you want to go down this route, and explain.
I think I chose the apprenticeship route because I was just really keen to actually get started and be able to understand more about what I was learning and gain that real hands-on experience. And actually the amount of professional skills you develop compared to university, it's so advantageous, I would say.
Great answer. What about you, Callum?
Yeah, I think similar reason. I think just wanting to just get your foot in the door early and sort of build experience from such a young age. I think when you compare sort of apprentices compared to sort of uni students or trainees who come from university, by the time they're I don't know, say 21, 22, you know, they're coming in fresh, they've got no experience, but by the time we'll be that age, oh well, not me, I'm a lot older than that now, but if you know, if you're finishing your A levels and you're 18, you get an apprenticeship. By the time you meet up with these other students who have gone to university, you've had sort of 3 or potentially even 4 years of legal experience on your belt, and it is so invaluable, especially I think learning from a young age, not even just like the law, but you know, just working in an office and understanding sort of mannerisms and all of those aspects as well, which you probably don't think about.
Good answer. Good insight. Thanks, Callum. I feel like we've got a few questions coming in, Marnie, so I'll let you kind of take the lead and take the rein.
Thank you so much.
Mainly based at Jess and Callum, but if there are any specific application or TLT questions, I am more than happy to answer those as well. So yes, I'll be here.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rebecca. That was super helpful, especially for some of those application tips. I can see lots of questions coming in. Just as a reminder for everyone, if you go to the little Q&A section, you can pop in any questions in there, and we will try to get through as many as possible. One question I can see, which would be great to get Jess and Callum's perspective on, is what is your biggest tip for preparing for interviews?
I would say my biggest tip is definitely the STAR method. I cannot emphasize it enough. I found it so helpful. I must have had a STAR method answer prepped for every question possible. I mean, you don't need to go that extreme, but I found it really helpful in terms of understanding what to answer. And one thing I found really helpful as well is at the end, when you talk about the result of your actions, actually what you learned from it, I think is really useful to kind of help with that reflection.
Perfect.
Yeah, what Jess said is all really good. I think one thing I'm thinking about, sort of more of a niche aspect of an interview, is that in the interview you might be asked from the interviewee, sort of, have you heard about anything that TLT or another firm has sort of worked on in the news? Well, sort of. So I think Becca said that we often, if we've worked on a case, we might have published that to, you know, release an article, say we've worked on this deal. We'd have loads of those examples on our website. So what you might be asked in an interview is, do you know anything that TLT has worked on recently, and sort of what are your thoughts on that, and you know, how do you think sort of the wider commercial world has impacted on what we've worked on? So if you're able to answer that, and you've done your research, and you can say, oh no, we've done this deal which was related to, I don't know, a clean energy project which we've assisted on, or AI. It shows that you know what's going on in the wider world, and how that is impacting not only our clients but sort of us and the work that we do. So sort of doing a bit of research before the interview on you know what we have been working on lately, and sort of picking out what you think, why you think that's interesting to you, and what you take from that.
Perfect. Okay, brilliant. The next one, maybe this is for you, Rebecca, but aside from academic success, what is the number one thing that you look for in a candidate at the application stage, that very, very first stage?
Oh, everything. No, I'm joking. I think a real interest in TLT. So, you know, the fact that you've done your research, the fact that you've identified one of our values correctly. I think the fact that, you know, you've really taken the time to come to an event like this or one of our open evenings and referring to this in your application. Connecting with us on LinkedIn is great. I see people that I connect with and I've spoken to, given some advice to, and then I can see their application coming through, and it's really nice to sort of follow that journey. So there's a few things there, but I think mainly is making sure that you've done your research thoroughly, and using that word count as well to the best of your ability, as it really all does count.
Definitely. Great. And back to you, Jess and Callum. Someone's popped in. How do you actually manage your study day compared to your office days? And is this hard to switch off from work to focus on your degree?
I would say that the way that the university set up is really helpful, in terms of the only fixed thing that you have on your study day is the lecture, and you can choose to manage the work around that and the consolidation work after the lecture in your own time, which really allows you to help sort of work in the way that helps you most. I don't find the switch too hard. I find it quite a nice break, and it's really easy to balance. Work are really supportive. If you ever have an exam, you have a half day for exams, and everyone is really understanding of the fact that your study day is your study day.
that the firm and the teams I've worked in have been really supportive in that they understand that that your study day, it's a study. You're not expected to kind of work or check your emails on that day. I think quite a few times recently I have wrongly done a bit of work on my study, and I've kind of been, you know, told off in an informal concept, you know, saying, oh, no, you shouldn't be working on your study day. So there's so much support in that sense. So it is more so just making sure that you're trying your best to switch off, and that there's enough work to be getting on with on your study day to be able to switch off, you know, because you've got that lecture to sort of prepare for in the afternoon, which Jess has mentioned. So yeah, the separation aspect I've got sort of no concerns with. And in terms of kind of how you balance that with the week, and or sort of if you've got exams coming up, then again, you know, you'll have your study day before an exam, or you'll have exam leave as well. So so far I've not had any issues with that.
We do like to protect the study days as well. So as Callum mentioned, we kind of ask the apprentices to put out of offices on that day. Their teams know not to contact them. It is almost like a separate entity in a way, and we really encourage the apprentices to use that day to get, you know, up to date on the reading, the tasks that they've got to do. And obviously we ask them, you know, they can work from home. Some of them like to come into the office and do it, and, you know, book out a meeting room. You know, we're really flexible with where they want to do that, but a lot tend to sort of just crack on at home, and that's okay with us.
Perfect. Great. Now someone has asked, this might be for you, Becca, how many applications do you get typically?
A lot. Yeah, quite a lot. I can't obviously say this the actual number, but it is highly competitive. We do recruit for 10 apprentices a year, so that is spread across the offices that I mentioned at the start of the presentation. But just as a reminder, this year we're recruiting into London, Bristol and Manchester, and that will be 10 across the board there. But yeah, it is highly competitive. There's a lot of people who have found out about this route now, and because it is such a great route, you know, the applications are getting higher each year. But, you know, if you want it, you know, there are things that you could do to help stand out. And this is obviously the whole point of these sorts of webinars, to help you and give you the tips that you need to be able to stand out from the crowd. So yeah, my advice would be don't let it be being competitive put you off. And yeah, keep your options open. And you can apply to many different firms. It's just finding out which is best for you.
Perfect. Okay, next one, which this one's getting quite a few votes. Maybe I'll ask you, Jess and Callum. Did you do any work experience prior to your apprenticeship, and what work experience would you recommend?
So you definitely don't need legal work experience. My biggest tip would be to try and think about how the work experience you have actually would correlate in a solicitor apprenticeship role. But the legal experience that I did do, there's so many great online platforms, places like Forage, Springpod, who we have an online work experience with, young professionals. There's so many places where you can gain virtual legal work experience that's really accessible. So I did quite a lot of that, and I found that really helpful.
Yeah, I didn't do any of that. I mean, I applied for TLT quite a few years ago, so I'm not sure if the position's changed, but I think we said as well with in your interview, you'd be able to use kind of any, not just legal work experience, but any work experience to show, you know, how you, if you get asked a question of how you perform in a team, or what you enjoy about working in a team, or something like that, or how you've dealt with a challenge. You know, if you've had a part-time job or you've done volunteering, you'd be able to use any of those kind of examples to show how you sort of exude TLT's values, or how you meet a certain sort of criteria which you've been asked about in the interview. So I wouldn't worry too much about the actual legal work experience itself. As a firm, we don't actually offer the in-person work experience, but as Jess has said, and I think what would have been mentioned from Becca as well, that we offer the virtual work experience, the Spring Pods. So yeah, that should be all you need, I think.
I've popped the QR codes on the screen now, if you can all see. So one obviously takes you to the application page, but the one on the right is actually takes you to our SpringPod virtual work experience landing page, and you can sign up and do the virtual work experience program at your leisure. It's a really great program, especially if you're not really sure if law's right for you at this point. It gives you a really broad access into different areas, quite hands-on. You get a certificate at the end, and it's really good to sort of include in those applications, and also at assessment centre and interview stage as well. So highly recommend. It's free, and you can dip in and out of it whenever. So yeah, on the screen now, and I have tested the QR codes and it does work.
Perfect. Another one that's getting quite a few likes as well is, what subjects did you find the most useful at A-level? Obviously, you mentioned that you don't necessarily have to do law, but it would be great to hear from you guys what subjects that you did do at A-level, and if there's any that you recommend to those year 10 and 11 students that might be listening.
I did law, business and sociology at A-level, but the truth of it is there's no specific requirements, so just do what you enjoy. It's about getting the UCAS points that you need. Well, it's not UCAS points, but getting the points that you need. So just do whatever you feel you'll enjoy. There's no specific requirements at all. Don't feel pressured to do law. I chose it because I thought it'd be a nice trial to see if I actually enjoy the subject, and obviously I really did. But there is no specific ones that you need, to just do what you enjoy.
I don't think I have any much else to add, to be honest. I think Jess is smashing this. Yeah, I mean, again, I did law, business and English language. You might think, those kind of subjects where you're having to, I know, in law and business, sort of analyse a fact pattern in an exam and write sort of essay-based questions like that. You might think they'd be most relevant, but and any of those sort of academical A levels would be fine. As Jess said, do what you enjoy, whether that's maths, English, science, law, economics. I don't think we discriminate, do we, Becca?
No, and like I said, it's not like it's not a criteria at all. It might help you, but I think you can gain so many transferable skills, as both Jess and Carl have mentioned, from skills like geography, history, maths, English, science, drama, even. Like, there's so many things that are all relevant in a law application and a solicitor apprentice. So yeah, please don't worry.
For sure, all those transferable skills.
Yeah.
And another one for you, Rebecca, what is something that you have seen in either an application or an interview that was noticeably amazing?
Oh, very good question. I think when you can really see the STAR method being utilised, and you see those really well structured answers shining through, so making sure that you have an example to back up your answer, and not just waffling. So the STAR method will really help you structure that correctly. So it's a situation talking about the actual the point that you want to make, the task that went alongside that, the action that you did to help with that, and then the result and the reflection. So one that I see kind of been used quite a lot is working in a busy retail environment, for example. So someone was dealing with an unruly customer, for example, on the shop floor, how they went about that, how they went and tackled that, what they did to sort of turn that experience of that customer around, and what would they do differently next time. Like, again, it's so simple, but it's problem solving, it's thinking on your feet, and all of that is really relevant to a solicitor apprentice. So yeah, really structured answers. I think that is a big win for me.
Definitely. Perfect. And now one back to you. Maybe we'll start with you, Callum. Are there any negatives of a law apprenticeship? Truthfully.
I mean, you guys in the position, you're probably in a position of either choosing an apprenticeship or university. So if I'll say to compare it to university, you might argue, you might be missing out on the social aspect of going to university and sort of moving away from home. I think moving away from home is sort of different sort of question in itself, but some of our apprentices have relocated from areas of the southwest to move to Bristol, and we've actually got, I think, 2 apprentices who are from in the same cohort who are now living together. So you've got that kind of social aspect, and there's not to say that nothing socially happens for apprentices. So actually yesterday, because of National Apprenticeship Week, I think especially we had a social event. We went bowling. So you do have those kind of social events within the sort of apprenticeship cohort itself, but then also within sort of the specific team that you might be allocated to working for those sort of 12-month seat rotations. Those teams will often have social events as well, sort of throughout the year. So we often have sort of an event in the spring, event in the summer, Christmas party. So you certainly don't miss out on sort of any of the social aspects which you might think you might be losing out on at university. But otherwise, I can't really think of it, because thinking of it as like a positive or a negative of university, I think if people have seen in the news a lot lately, there's been a lot of talk about the student debt and the student loans, and should it be scrapped? If you're going to go, you might choose to go to university, which is great, but obviously with an apprenticeship you're getting a degree alongside your studies, and you'll have no student debt, so you wouldn't have to worry about paying all that back, whether or not the government are going to scrap student loans or not. So yeah, I can't really think of too many negatives, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Correct answer, Callum. I think it's, I think the social aspect is a lot of applicants' concerns when I speak with them at careers fairs and interviews. But we purposely put you all in a cohort together. You really bond with that cohort during the first week. I'll pass on to Jess in a second. She can tell you a little bit about the Apprentice Academy that we kind of launched this year for the first time. But we really kind of try to create a sense of community and put on the social events. There's loads of networking events to get involved with as well, across all the different firms. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's too different, but obviously you still have your weekends and your evenings. Callum's got his hand up.
I was just gonna just another point I was going to mention on the social aspect is that again, across the offices we've got I'm not sure what it's called this, but we've got different spaces. We've got like a not space, circle. Sorry, Becca. So like a football circle or a netball circle. So I actually run in Bristol. So we've got a 7-a-side football team, and we play from sort of March to September in the year. Play 7-a-side matches against different offices. Other law firms, sort of accountancy firms, professional services firms, and I think sort of 2, 3 or 4 of our apprentices in Bristol are sort of going to be now part of that team for this year and sort of moving on. And it's not just that, you've got sort of a board game circle. I'm trying to think of other ones off the top of my head, but it's one anything you could think of. So that's just another kind of social aspect which you might not have thought might be the case in law firms, but yeah.
Good answer, Callum. And Jess, do you have anything to add?
Well, you've both summarised it really well, but I would say the cohort, I mean, that's one of the reservations I had, but actually you're in a cohort, I think we've got 9 in ours, and we did the Apprentice Academy, and we did so many fun team building exercises, things like making paper airplanes and all sorts of really fun things. And actually we're all so close, we all have regular catch-ups, and you do have that social aspect where maybe you think, oh, there's not going to be many people my age there. I've actually found that I've got loads of friends my age or in similar age groups, and I've not missed the social side too much at all.
Perfect. Okay, we're getting another one that's getting quite a few votes. Will criminal law get taken over by AI? What do you think?
That's a good question. I think maybe not anytime soon. And maybe not 100% like completely. I think what's more maybe realistic is like automation and AI assistance perhaps. We have a future law team that is very big on sort of AI, and like I mentioned, and there's a lot going on in the legal world to help utilize AI tools. But I think for now, probably not. We're a bit far off that, but equally I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if Callum and Jess want to add anything to that, but I think not right now.
Yeah, I think it's hard for us to say as to the criminal law aspect. So at TLT we don't we don't sort of practice criminal law. We're commercial law firms. So what that basically means is that sort of the majority of our clients are businesses. So as you might have seen from the sector, so there might be sort of a digital business or financial services businesses, but certainly AI is having on the work that we do. So Becca just mentioned then about the future law team that we've got, and I think this upcoming sort of year, for the first time, we're going to have trainee solicitors in that future law team. So if any of you join it in a few years' time or however long, and you might be able to experience some time in that team, and is a difficult one as well, because I think it's difficult to make sure that that we're utilizing AI, but then remaining sort of sticking to our values and then making sure that that our people come first. I think in the news there's often the concept or the questions of how many jobs are going to be lost through AI, but I think it's more so of how can AI benefit what we do. So you keep the people, and it makes our jobs easier, as opposed to jobs being lost.
Good answer, Callum.
Perfect. So I'm just having a little look, and I think we'll probably just do one more question, as we're a bit short on time now, and I thought this would be quite a nice one to finish on. If you guys could go back to year 11 and imagine yourselves in year 11, what would be the piece of advice that you would give, whether that's about apprenticeships in general, early careers in general, or about a career in law? What would be your one piece of advice to yourself?
I would say probably not to overthink it so much. I in year 11 knew I wanted to do a solicitor apprenticeship. I was very dead set on it. But actually, the biggest thing is not to put too much pressure on yourself, and to really reflect on your journey through applications, through college. Attending things like this is amazing, and just reflect on what you've learned. Reflect on any applications where you might not have got it that time. And I'd say that's probably my biggest tip for people of that sort of age, just to really reflect on your journey.
I think in terms of sort of nowadays, 2026, it'll be sort of just putting yourself out there and attending events like this, attending these sort of virtual webinars, or attending, if there's anything happening in person, because you don't know who you might meet. You might meet at one of those events, a solicitor at law firm, or an apprentice, and you might be able to forge a connection with them through LinkedIn or anything like that. So I think, and with the sort of vast amount of opportunities that are out there now to attend events like this, I think my advice would be to keep doing that and sort of putting yourself out there, because you don't know what you might be missing out on by not attending those kind of events.
Perfect. Amazing. Sorry, Becca, did you want to add anything?
No, I was just going to say, just be yourself, be unapologetically yourself. And I think law firms, and especially with working in early careers, I really want to see you as a person and what you can bring to the table. And we're not recruiting robots. We want individuals who can bring different skill sets to the table. So really be yourself and make sure that comes across. I think that would be my parting words of wisdom.
Oh. Amazing. Well, thank you guys so much. Some really helpful insights in there. We hope you all enjoyed attending tonight. And yeah, thank you guys so much for taking the time this evening to attend. As a reminder, you will all be getting an email that will contain a link to the YouTube link for this, so you can go and watch it back as many times as you like. And you will also get a certificate for watching the whole way through. So please share that on your LinkedIn, tag Rebecca, Callum and Jess and Success at School. And if your question wasn't answered, we will collate all of them and send them back to TLT as well. And you'll be able to find some really other helpful tips and tricks on our website as well. So yeah, thank you all so much. Have a lovely rest of your evening, and happy National Friendship Week. And thank you guys so much for speaking again.